we have come to chapter 13. Yeah, it's done. Okay, so it is chapter 13. Is Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Vibhaga, Yoga. And let me put on my video. Okay. Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Vibhaga, Yoga. Okay, it's the nature, enjoyer, and consciousness. So we can know by this itself what you're going to talk about. Krishna is going to talk about here. Before we go, let us pay obeisance to Sri Radha Govinda. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Nana Kashalakaya Chakshumitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vittam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadotam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakana Vittamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dino Bando Jagat Pate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarapyascha Kripa Sindhavyayevacha Patitam Nam Pavinebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Desha Tarine Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabho Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So let us just a quick recap. Anadev has also put in. So we were looking at personal devotion to Krishna is supreme, because Arjuna was asking whether to meditate on the Lord's form, the form, the Shamsundra form we have, that two-handed form, whether to meditate on that or whether to do the impersonal form. Then Krishna is very emphatic. He says only personal devotion to Krishna is supreme, and it would lead us to liberation, of course. Otherwise, the impersonal form is very difficult and it requires a lot of endeavor on our part, learning a lot of scriptures, then controlling the senses and focusing on your mind and meditating, and it might there is a lot of difficulties and there's a risk of failure also. But personal devotion, you are linking yourself to the Lord and your consciousness there. Then he gave us the steps to the thing. That is starting from Anyanya Bhakti is a pure, that is the ultimate perfection, which is difficult. So he says, if you can, I know it's difficult to do, you take up the sadhana bhakti. That is, you follow the instructions given by the sadhana instructions given by Acharya, the thing, and you practice. By practicing that, you will be able to cultivate the love for the Lord, and slowly all your anarthas will go, and then you will be rising, elevating yourself in the spiritual life. If you cannot do that, he says, at least do work for me. I know it's the thing, you work for me, giving up the results. Even that, they might not be difficult. So he says, take up Sakhama Bhakti. That is, you at least give to some charity. That means the giving spirit will be there. No, otherwise, your heart will be like a stone. It won't melt. So at least you'll be giving to philanthropy. A lot of people are doing philanthropy. But you will take many more births to come up to the highest stage of perfection. But at least you are in the path. Then otherwise, you can cultivate knowledge or dhyana meditation. So these are the steps which he has spelled it out for us, because he knows unalloyed bhakti is difficult, not many people will achieve. Then he talked about the qualities of a devotee which are very dear to him, and the way the attitude to oneself. They know that the Lord is the proprietor, and he has no false ego, and he doesn't envy anybody, and he treats everyone as his friend. I mean, whether it's a friend or enemy, he treats them all together the same, and he is equipoised in the any distress or happiness. He tolerates both. And dealing with Lord, he knows he's a servant. He knows his position as the servant to the Lord. So, and then finally we know that only devotional service we can approach the Lord. So we saw the steps and how to. So when now the question comes, so we have this chapter 13, which starts off with questions by Arjuna. And he's asking about 6 questions. What is Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Jnana, Neyam, and what is Prakriti, Purusha, and Enjoyer, and all that. Then now he's talking about process of acquiring this knowledge. So the question comes, bhakti is a personal devotion to Krishna, right? We understood that. Then if that is the thing, if bhakti is the culmination, why is jnana presented in the last 6 chapters? So you think if this is the jnana, no, this is what we are learning, isn't it? That is, we have to do devotional service. And if that is the thing, then why are we saying the last 6 chapters are about jnana yoga? Okay. And we said first 6 is karma yoga. So in truth, the entire Bhagavad Gita is about bhakti only. Okay. The first 6 chapters discuss how to achieve bhakti through work. We talked about our fruitive activities, how we get entangled with the fruitive activities, and how we can come out of it we can come out of the reactions by offering the results to the Lord, saying that he is the enjoyer, he is the proprietor, and he is the controller. Bhaktaram, we saw that. So the last 6 describe how to achieve bhakti through knowledge. That's why it's known as Jnana Yoga. And middle discuss bhakti itself. So, I mean, you know what to achieve, but what is bhakti also is being spelled out. We saw, no, unalloyed bhakti and how Krishna says. And in the 12th chapter, he clearly says, he personally delivers his devotee from birth and death. He swiftly comes, the one who understands his this philosophy and does whatever he's been telling us. That is, we should worship him, we should pay obedience to him, and we should do all the work for him, all the time absorbed in it. And how to do it through the work and thing. And he says to his devotees, he will personally comes and delivers them from birth and death. Everywhere it says, without doubt, just listen to me, without doubt, I'll be with. And we are seeing that. Now, what is this jnana? Jnana will be used for assisting, because he keeps telling, no, you attach to me. That means how we can detach from this Maya. So that is being giving here, is giving some logical explanations which will help us to come out of this attachment. I mean, with the material world. And it gives the philosophical knowledge necessary to extricate oneself from the material world. So that's why we say we use knowledge as a means to attain devotion. So it becomes a part of bhakti. That's why we say it's a jnana yoga. And ultimately, when we say delivered something, it's like mukti. We want to not go to the Swarga Loka, to the heavenly planets or to the upper planets, but to go to the Lord, Goloka. So hope then starts off with Arjuna asking. Arjuna said, "Oh my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti." Then that is the nature. Then he wants to know Purusha, the enjoyer. Enjoyer and the field, and the knower of the field, and then and of knowledge, and the end of the knowledge. What is the object of the knowledge, and what is the purpose? Then the blessed Lord then said, "This body, O son of Kunti, is called the field, that is Kshetra. And who knows this body is called the knower of the field, Kshetrajna." So we keep hearing this Kshetra, Kshetrajna in this chapter, and it's quite I mean, it is quite different from the other chapters. He'll be telling the same points, but he'll be telling it in a different. Okay. So the question by Arjuna was, what is his Prakriti? Prakriti is nothing but material nature. And Purusha is the enjoyer of the Prakriti is the thing. One is the Purusha. Then Kshetra is the body. That is the Sharira, which we have. And Kshetrajna is the observer in the body. Who are there? Yeah, the soul is there, and the super soul is the one which is using this body, right? And it knows what is the body is doing. And Jnanam is to understand the relationship between the Kshetrajna. Okay, what is the body, why we are using it, for what, why. And the goal of knowledge is the Paramatma. That means we need to go back to him. And then in the end, he talks more about Prakriti and Purusha. So, Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi, sarva kshetrashu bharata, kshetrajno jnanam, yet tats jnanam matam mama. So, O son of Bharata, you should understand that I am also the knower in all bodies, and to understand this body and its owner is called knowledge. That is my opinion. So, what is the meaning here is, we have in this picture, see here is a person is talking on the phone, right? And to another. So, he is aware of his body, and inside the soul is also awake, and the Paramatma is there. So, all three are awake. That means his mind is there and he is able to think. But when he's sleeping, but he has some dreams, isn't it? At that time, it's your mind that the subtle body is still awake. It is not gone to think. So you have your subtle body, which is the false ego, mind, and all the memories and all the essence, vasanas are there. And then your soul is there and super soul is there. Okay. But when you're in deep sleep, that time, then your mind is all subtle body is also asleep. But still, your soul and your super soul are awake. It's not that it has gone to sleep. It's all the time awake. Okay. So that's what he says here. I'm also there. But only difference between us and the super soul is not only in our body, is in all the bodies. Whether it is an ant or Brahma or a dog or animal or a plant or thing, super soul is there in all the living beings. Okay. In all is there. And he knows what's happening in everything, every thought of us, every desire, everything. But whereas we know only our own body, because we are only in our body, we reside. So here he says, so this is the knowledge. That is what he says, knowing who is the owner, and we should understand that this body. Then he gives a nice analogy. Like this body, he compares it like a field. Right? And in the field, you have a farmer who is tilling the thing. So whatever he is sowing here in this field, he knows what he has put in the field and the thing, and he knows only about his land. Whereas the neighbors, others knows their land. But this person knows about his land. And also there is a sun, the Paramatma. The sun is pervading everywhere and it can see everything. So Paramatma knows not only your land, it knows other things. It's like a king, no? The king will know, you might only know about your land, but the king is owning all the estates, all the things. So he knows who all are there everywhere and what they have done, everything. So same way, the Lord knows whatever we are doing, and he's the thing. And what fruit we get and all that because of what we have sown, what we have done. So this is how it compares the Kshetra and Kshetrajna. Kshetra is the field, our body, and Kshetrajna is the soul which is residing in that body. And now Krishna is explaining that this knowledge of the field of activities, of the knower of the activities, is described by various sages in various Vedic writings. It is especially presented in Vedanta Sutra with all reasoning as to cause and effect. Cause and effect, like, the effect is the child which is born because of the father and mother. And it is present both, isn't it? And also, Krishna is all the time. And you might say, even we were asking, why scriptures? Because the scriptures in in fact, in the chapter 1 itself, when Arjuna was giving his reasons for not to fight, he was quoting scriptures. He was saying, when the family traditions will be lost if the elders and nothing, he was, and also it is sin to kill the relatives and things. So he was quoting the scriptures. It's a Vedic scriptures, right? So time and again, Krishna is also referring to the Vedas. Also, he's telling it is given in the Vedics, and sages also have been writing about this, about us, the jivas and the Paramatma and the relationship and what the body is and field of factors. All this is being given in various sages have written in these Vedic writings. So, and in this particular verse 13.5, he's again mentioning that it is presented in Vedanta Sutra with all the reasoning as to cause and effect. It's not that something, and we say, and he is also telling us through his scriptures. Whatever the sayings, I think that's how we are learning it through Bhagavad Gita. Then, so this is cause and effect. Now, he's giving us in the Vedic scriptures, we have realization that one can realize the Krishna's presence depending on his level of consciousness. So this is taken from Tantric Upanishads, where it is. I mean, this is explained in the purport by Prabhupada. That is, we are in the Annamaya Kosha. So there are 5 koshas of level of consciousness. Annamaya Kosha is that you are only looking at the how to maintain this body, like bodily aspects, that is the footsteps. So our realization of the Lord is only up to the level of the footsteps. Okay, and then you go one more rise is to the pranamaya, and this Annamaya Kosha, I can give an example of a child. What the child does, it's only interested in what the food the mother gives, and then it goes off to play. That's all. It doesn't bother about what you're doing or anything. All it is concerned is only to have his food and to play. So that is the lowest level of consciousness and all. And it is finds a lot of enjoyment mostly in eating. Then comes the pranamaya. So there we are in the thing. The conscious is little bit more. By necessity, we are absorbed in day-to-day activities. That is how to live in this world, how to maintain this body, how to maintain our family, and our thoughts are all focused on the work, family, friends, politics, then entertainment, and so on. That means we are trying to live as best our lives as best we can. So then, I mean, for us, we should be safe. That's all we are bothered. I mean, that is the second level of consciousness. That is, you're in the pranamaya realization. When we try to be alive, we want to be alive at all costs. So we don't go beyond that. If our life is without being attacked by anybody or anything, then we think we are happy. So now the Vedic structure says you have to go beyond that. In fact, today's civilization is mostly in that, in this mix of 3 stages. That is Manonmaya, which is again little bit one more. They are little bit understanding the things, or they step back and try to understand what is life is all about. Then they start asking questions. Is there more to life? This state is questioning everything. Why do I have to die? What's the purpose? Is there something beyond? Philosophy inquiry is a step above concerns for the pressing matters of life, right? So and now to go beyond that, many people will just get stuck with this and they don't go. And that's where even today's civilization is a mix of all these 3 stages. They are only looking at the economic development and how to live happily in this world, and they have their own philosophical values of life. But the Vedic scriptures tells us to go beyond that, elevate. And that is Vijnanamaya. Vijnanamaya is where we just come in to look what is really thing. Are we to be entangled within this world itself or a thing, or is there something more, and how to elevate ourselves? That is where we start our spiritual life journey will start from this level. We're going from when you start questioning ourselves and trying to do our quest for that. Then finally we reach the Anandamaya. That is where the Lord is then is all the time full of bliss, we're going to the Goloka. So this was taken up as all these 5 koshas, which is given by Tatya and Upanishads. And it is also given in the purport. You can all read it about that. Okay. And this was. Now he's telling how is, because now we have to know what are the things we need to understand. We have to understand what this body is made of and what are the causes for interactions, why we are happy, what are the elements and things. And then we should also know about the effect and who is controlling this body. And so many questions are there which we need to understand. That is the knowledge. So there, here in this verse, the Lord says there are 5 great elements. What are the 5 great elements? Your Panchabhutas you have, no? That is your earth. What I think you all know that. You can also put in the chat if you know the 5 great elements, the gross elements. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. Okay, that is a 5 great elements. Your false ego, intelligence, and unmanifest. This is the modes of nature. And we have 10 senses. What are the 10 senses? The 5 senses, the working senses, and the knowledge acquiring senses. Knowledge acquiring senses are your ear, eyes, mouth. Then you have nose and your hand. That is your thing. And the knowledge, I think, then we have working senses. Working senses are your legs, hands, voice, anus, and genitals. Then you have 5 objects of senses, that is smell, taste, warmth, touch, and sound. And mind is there within us. So all these 24 elements. And this desire, hatred, happiness, distress, this is the feelings which we have in the mind. Okay. It's not the soul which is thing, but this is there because of a subtle bond. Then aggregate the total of these same things. These are summary to be the field of activities and its interactions. So the Lord says this is the, like, effect. How do we understand? That is, these 24 elements make up the body. Actually, it's like this is the one as a Sankhya philosophy, right? And it is given in 3rd canto, Srimad Bhagavatam. It's given in more detail. Here, Krishna is only giving in a gist of it. Because of our senses, our desire, our hatred, our thing, we have all this mixture of these two. Like, example, like I want a sari. Unless I purchase a sari, I won't be happy. I need that. I feel, I get so engrossed into that. I need to have that particular sari or whatever it is. And my meditation, otherwise his life issues. So your own meditation is on this. What is sari made of? It's made of 5 gross elements. So my desire is dependent on one of these 24 elements. So we are still hung up on the Annamaya or the Pranamaya koshas. We are still hung up on those koshas. We are not gone beyond that because we have those material desires. And we are integrated. But suppose we want to ask somebody who is, who is not in Krishna consciousness, obviously alive. If we ask someone, the Mataji was telling us this example. He says, if we ask somebody, then what does he say? He'll start off with this huge life story, how he was in a hut and how he came up to this bungalow, how he made this house, how he was successful in his life, how he had a lot of thing and all his knowledge, all that is all will be covered in these 24 elements. That means he's only in this, his consciousness is all throughout his life has been on this. You can relate it to any of these 24 elements. But on philosophy, he'll have a lot of philosophical opinions that he will also have. He'll also talk, because everyone likes to talk about philosophy, how this is good and what is that. And they're all talking what is in their mind, right? And which is also one of these 24 elements. So we have to be very careful when we want to be in this spiritual life. No, we should understand how we have to come to a proper place. We have to find which is a proper bona fide master. Otherwise, we'll be hopping from desire and happiness and thinking that is the success. So that is, this is the field of activities and its interactions. So then Krishna is explaining us about the qualities of listing out here. I mean, all this thing is about humility, and I can give it out here. Humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation, objects of sense gratification, and old age, disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home, and the rest, even-mindedness amid unpleasant events, constant and accepting the. So these, all these I declare to be, what does Krishna says, to be the knowledge, and besides this, whatever there may be is ignorance. So why he spells out all these knowledge items? Because we have to escape from this prison of material world. So let us examine them one by one. Humility, that is what Prabhupada explained, is not to be anxious to have the satisfaction of being honored. Because if you relate towards your body all the time, if you are identifying with the body, then you will be caught up with this. You want to be honored. You want to have that satisfaction. So that is what is explained as humility, and not to be anxious. Then pridelessness, that is, you are not the body, and thus honor and dishonor are the same. So non-violence, ahimsa. Ahimsa is not, generally we know that ahimsa means you are troubling some animals or you are hurting some people and things. But that is physically, but we should not even hurt them mentally also. We should not put others in distress, not even with verbally. But if we can elevate them to spiritual knowledge, then that means we are not we are practicing non-violence. So if that is what should be our attitude. Then tolerance, we have to be practiced to bear insult and dishonor from others. This is very difficult, but there are devotees. I mean, we have seen example is our Prabhupada itself. Then simplicity, you have to be very simple, straightforward, that you can disclose the truth even to an enemy. You don't have to be diplomatic. Then accepting a spiritual master is the essential thing. Unless we do that, it's very difficult to cultivate these qualities. Then cleanliness is external as well as internal, chanting. Steadiness, determined to make progress in spiritual life. Self-control, reject anything which is unfavorable to spiritual advancement. Try to control your senses. Renunciation of sense objects, not to cater to unnecessary demands. Otherwise, you'll always, once you cater to one demand, there will be some hundreds of demands will come up. So we only keep it fit for devotional service. Absence of false ego. Reject I am this body or mind. Accept that I am Krishna's servant. So essentially is accepting a master. Then perceptions of evil. That is, regularly hear about these from proper source. Then what happens? Then we can slowly will get disgusted. We know that this life, material life, is temporary, and we are trying to build what we are trying to build here, a permanent place. And all our relationships are all with, as far as this body is there. Once this body goes, our relations are no more there, all these friends and things. And here people get confused. Not that we should not have affection. We should have affection for them. But attachment, if it comes in the way of a Krishna consciousness, we should try to be aloof from it, because that will renounce anything which is unfavorable. We should try to avoid. Then even-mindedness, even whether it's distrust. Unalloyed bhakti, engage. Then I had talked about yesterday, 9 process of bhakti. If not, we can even talk about it today. And we can engage in one of them. That is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasya, Archana, Nandanam, Sevan. Then aspiring to live in a solitary place, not desiring to mix with materialistic people. Not that we can't live in an isolated place today, but at least we can avoid mixing them, talking about the mundane matters. Then detachment from general mass of people, accepting importance of realization, self-realization. This is very thing. Unless we think that this is required, then only we will do whatever the Lord says. This is not that we need to realize this thing, giving up unnecessary activities, philosophical rejection. So all these engaged by that, we are getting to know. So this knowledge, process of knowledge, what process thing is, if it leads to our self-realization, leads to bhakti, then that is the knowledge. And once you know that this is the process, then slowly you will be focusing on all these qualities, to cultivate them. It will automatically come. But if you will not, there are people who are very pious, who are very this thing, but if they are not God-fearing, if they are not Krishna-centered, then it is useless. They might do all the, like Madhava Seva, they'll be doing. But if they don't have the Lord in them, then that means they have certain pride in them would be there, certain type of ahanka that I'm being very good, in a mode of goodness. But that the qualities, even if it is there, it won't help them to go back to the Lord. Okay, because they're not having the Lord in their life, isn't it? So that's the thing. So, but if we have start off with engage, then Acharya Upasana, that is having a spiritual master, is good. And a spiritual master could be in the form of the human person, or the scriptures also is a guru for us. Humility, non-violence, self-control, detached from general mass of people. So these are certain things we can focus on. Okay. Non-violence is may not hurt people. Then after explaining all this, see, he keeps talking about the qualities of devotees and qualities of knowledge. Why is iterating it? It's important for us. It's important to focus. If you want to understand who is a devotee, who is not a pretender, who is just, you want some fame and in the name of the religion, if they are doing such things, then you will only want whether you will be able to progress properly or not. You can judge yourself. By he is defining all the qualities for us so that we can make our own judgment. So now he is telling, I shall now explain the noble, knowing which you will taste the eternal. Brahman, the spirit, beginningless, subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. So, Nayam, this is the noble. Then super soul is the original source of the senses. So he is now talking about the super soul. How is he now in all the coming 3-4 verses, you will see the characteristics. And you might look like he's telling contradictory, but actually if you think about it, you can understand it more clearly. He is the original source of all senses, but he is without sense. That means his senses are not material sense. He can be in every place, but he can be in only one place. But our mind will go into many places, but our body can be only in one. And we can't know what is happening in another person's body, another person's mind also. But the Lord can be there, okay? He is unattached, although he is the maintainer of all livings. He is unattached, of course, he is neutral and thing, but he is maintaining us. Otherwise, how will the whole world exist? He exists, so we exist. And he transcends the modes of nature. At the same time, he is the master of all modes of material nature. Then he exists internally and externally in the moving and non-moving. He is beyond the power of material senses to see and to know. Though he is far away, he is also near to us. Okay, and this is the same thing. Then he is the source of light in all luminous objects. He is the beyond darkness of matter and manifested. An object of knowledge and goal of knowledge. So he is what we need to know all of. So this is a nice analogy given by the Upanishads only, that you have 2 birds on a tree. Okay, and it is this 2 birds are nothing but super soul and our jiva. But we are so focused in this in sense enjoyment, this bird is all the time tasting this fruit, that fruit. Oh, this fruit is very tasty. Oh, that fruit is very pungent. It's not so nice. You are just bothered and think. Whereas this super soul is just absorbing, and it wants to come back to him. Only when you turn your mind and your conscience towards the Lord, then only you can go back to him. So the field of active knowledge have been summarily described by me. Only my devotees can understand this thoroughly and thus attain to my nature. So unless you turn towards him, then only you can slowly, this jnana understanding will come to us. And we will be able to go back to his abode. So here he clearly says that we should understand this science. So material nature and the living entities have been beginningless. It's not that, material nature came now or we have come only now. We have been there. Living entities are a part of it. We have been in the spiritual world and then we have been there, and because of our desire to enjoy the material was created. But it was not created then. It was there in the Mahatattva, we saw in the womb of the Lord Vishnu, Mahavishnu. Then when he in his will, he will create. And then we who all were desiring to be in the metal were there within Mahavishnu. And then he impregnates us in this material world. So then we come along with the material world. Then so we are beginningless. It is there all the time. Only the transformation, that is how we grow, and whether we are in the animal or in the human form, that all comes from our thing. So when we are, once we have come here, we are in the laws of, caught in the laws of material nature. So the modes of are products of material nature. Okay. And we are there. And that's how we get, so how we get entangled with Prakriti. Here it is clearly said, nature is said to be the cause of all material activities, whereas the living entity is the cause of sufferings and enjoyments. Because we desire, then, as I told earlier, he is the permitter, and then once it sanctions, then material nature takes place. So, like, we desire to move, but who is moving? The soul is not moving. Your body is moving, right? So the body is moving. So like, I said, even the car, you want to start the car. Once you start the ignition, the mechanism is working. The car mechanism works, and it's not that you are pushing the car or anything physically. So like that, the body is the one. And then when anything happens, we feel happy or distressed. The things we enjoy because of the mind. So living entity in material nature follows the ways of life because it enjoys the modes of nature. Because of our association with that nature, that we are always entangled in this. Either we will be in the good or evil amongst. So either we take the body of a dog or a demigod or a human being or anything. So it is all because of our association with this nature.
What's the time?
Hare Krishna. Please take just few slokas. This chapter is quite this chapter. So that Hare Krishna. Please. Okay. So can you hear me? Okay. Yet in this body, there is another transcendental enjoy, who is the Lord, Supreme Proprietor, who exists as an overseer and permitter. So as I said, he permits the action, and then we get what we deserve. So we should remember that. So you all can hear me, no? So then one who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, living entity, interaction of the modes of nature is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of this present. So what is the use of this knowledge? Once you understand this philosophy, then we will be detached. Then we will not take birth here again, whatever be our position. But there are some people who will do this. They will go understand the super soul by meditation or cultivation of knowledge or working without fruitive desires. So this is some people have they will go by this method, but there are some who are not conversant in spiritual knowledge. They will worship the Lord just by hearing about him from others. Like as I said, Devahuti, mother, she was listening to the Sankhya philosophy from her son, Kapila Muni. And by hearing and hearing, she realized the Supreme Person, and she was able to transcend the path of birth and death. So we have tendency to hear, but whom to hear from? That is, hear from authorities, hear from scriptures. So dhyana, gnana, nishkama, karma, go and hearing. And hearing is the best bhakti yoga, finally we get. So whatever you see in existence is only the combination of the field of activities and the knower of the field. So he keeps iterating, who sees a super soul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies, and who understands that neither the soul nor the soul is ever destroyed, actually sees. So this realization, is not that easy to come with a second. It takes keep hearing and hearing and hearing, then we will slowly realize it's a truth. And he is the one who sees the living being equal everywhere, does not degrade himself by his mind. So he will approach the answer. So Krishna is explaining how people, by understanding this, go back to him. All activities are performed. So they know that activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that soul is not doing it, actually is getting it done. So we should know the real doer thing. It's like the sky, due to subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all pervading. Similarly, soul is in a Brahman vision, does not mix with the body, though it is in the body. Okay, it is aloof. And people have this concept, that we get, that is in Jiva, super soul, everything is one. That is, once we get liberated, we get merged with the Paramatma. It's not the thing. We are independent individual. Super soul is and Paramatma is individual, and we are just a small, tiny spark, drop of water in the ocean compared to the ocean. Okay, we are same in the quality wise, but not quantity wise. As the sun alone illuminates all these things, living entity is the one which is entire body. It's illuminating by consciousness. Otherwise, it's just a dead body. It's just a gross matter. So once who sees this difference between the body and the owner of the body can understand the process of liberation from this bondage, and also attains. So this jnana is what he is telling in this particular chapter. Okay. So we saw the 6 questions: Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Jnana, Jnayam. Then what is this Prakriti, and how is the enjoyer, and the relationship. So unless we know this clearly, then we'll be able to, by attachment to the Lord, we can slowly get detached from the material world. This is the knowledge. So we understood the values, we can apply and practice these teachings given by the Lord. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu always says, Bolo Krishna, Bhajo Krishna, Koro Krishna, Shiksha. So with this, I'll close. Vancha kalpatrabhyascha, kripa sindhu evacha, patitam nam pavanebho, vaishnavo namo namaha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Please, everybody chant. They will be happy. Today is Ekadashi. Please at least try to do